Hey everybody, welcome to Crack-A-Pack number 18 on the Mana Leak. I'm John as always, and we're going to get some Magic Origins opened up. It's been a couple of weeks of drafting. Let's take a look at what's in this pack and see what we would take. Pack one, pick one. On top, we've got ourselves an Aven Battle Priest. I hate this card. 5 and a white for a 3/3 flyer that when it enters the battlefield, it gives you 3 life. That is way too expensive. I'm iffy about Ring Warden Owl as a 3/3 flyer for 5, and it has prowess. This just gives you 3 life when it enters the battlefield for an extra mana. I don't ever want to play this card. I would never have this in my deck. Total F. Just no interest in Aven Battle Priest whatsoever. Next up, we've got Night Snare. This is 3 and a black sorcery. Target opponent reveals his or her hand. You may choose a non-land card from it. If you do, that player discards that card. If you don't, that player discards 2 cards. So this is Thoughtseize when you want it to be Thoughtseize, and it's Mind Rot when you don't want it to be Thoughtseize after seeing what's in their hand. Really cool decision process here. It's a relatively complex decision process, actually. I think a lot of people are going to shy away from this card, and I haven't had a chance to play with it yet, but I do want to give it a shot. I want to feel how this feels to play, because it does feel a little bit powerful. I'm really curious to see how this plays out. It's not a high pick. It's a pick, it's a 23rd card. It's a pure 23rd card, but I'm really curious to see how it plays out. So I do want to give this a shot, but not first pick, not, high pick at all. Next up, we've got Orchard Spirit. This is a 2 and a green spirit 2/2 that has fake flying. Orchard Spirit can't be blocked except by creatures with flying or reach. So on the offense, it basically has flying, except it can't be hit by aerial volley. On defense, it doesn't have flying at all in any way, shape, or form. This is just an efficient green card. Green doesn't get flying, of course, usually ever, and this is generally as close as green gets to flying. And it's just kind of fine. It's not a high pick, but I'll put one of these in my green deck if I, need a 3-drop creature. It's not a 23rd card. It's, more like a 19th card, a 20th card. It's a creature that's there because you need creatures to win Magic. So a fine card, but not our first pick. Next up, we've got Aspiring Aeronaut. 3 and a blue, Human Artificer, 1/2, that has flying, and when it comes into play, you get a 1/1 Thopter. So 2/3 flyer, all told, is fine for 4. This is no Gear Pure Gear Crafter. This is no Thopter Engineer. This is no Whirler Rogue. Those are the really good Thopter producers. This is the worst Thopter producer, and even it's fine. It's fine to play this card. I wouldn't get too excited by this. I wouldn't take it first pick ever. I wouldn't load up on these to be the Thopter deck, but it's a fine include, and it's a fine include in most blue decks, I think, as a one of. You don't want to get too much more than these, because for a 4-drop, it is slightly weak, but yeah, Aspiring Aeronaut, not our first pick at all. More of a mid-pack kind of thing. Next up, we've got Titan's Strength, a single red combat trick. Target creature gets +3/+1 till end of turn, and you scry. Scry 1, that is. A fine combat trick. This is really, really good. It's generally going to help your creature live. It's going to certainly kill whatever you're blocking in almost all cases. And if it's unblocked, you're getting in for an extra 3 damage. Plus scry for, the absolute least cost you could ever have at 1 single mana. And this is just a super efficient, really good combat trick. You don't first pick it ever, and you don't pick it highly, but when you're in red, and this is the red card in the pack, and it's, maybe there's a couple of really bad red creatures along with it, you take Titan Strength, and you put it in your deck for sure, but not a first pick. Next up, we've got Read the Bones, 2 and a black for a sorcery. You scry 2, then you draw 2 cards, and then you lose 2 life. So it's Sign in Blood for 1 more, but you get to kind of filter what you're going to draw. You get to see what you're going to draw, and if you don't like it, you can kind of throw it to the bottom of your library and then blind draw. Really exactly the same as Titan Strength. Totally fine card. It's the card you're going to take if you're in black and there's not much going on in the pack for black. The creatures kind of suck or something. You're going to take Read the Bones and be happy, and you're going to put it in your deck. But not first pickable. Next up, we've got Calculated Dismissal, 2 and a blue for an instant. Counter target spell unless its controller pays 3. It's an expensive mana leak. But if you have Spell Mastery, meaning you have 2 or more instant and or sorcery spells in your cards in your graveyard, then you scry 2 as well as mana leaking. the spell that you're attempting to mana leak. You know, this is fine. It's not the premier counter spell of this set. That's Clash of Wills for sure, I think. Yeah, Spell Mastery. It's interesting. My experience so far has been that Spell Mastery is not on all that often. My caution in my set review, I think, was apt. I would say that Spell Mastery has been 40 to 50% of the time being on. And so 50 or 60% of the time it's not on. So I don't think you can ever expect to have Spell Mastery. So you need to look at what the card does without Spell Mastery. So do I want to pay 3 mana to counter a spell unless my controller, or unless its controller pays 3? I'm okay with that. If I'm in a blue control-y, grindy deck, I'm okay with it. It obviously gets bad in the late game, but on turn 3, on turn 4, on turn 5, this will probably get the spell that you want to get. So I'm okay with it. I'll take one mid to late pack and probably put it in a blue control-y deck. It certainly doesn't go into every blue deck. But yeah, Calculated Dismissal, fine. Spell Mastery, eh. Next up, we've got Lana and Path, 3 and a green for an Elf Shaman, 2/2. When it enters the battlefield, you scry 2. Then you reveal the top card of your library, and if it's a creature, it goes into your hand. I love this card. This card is great. It's a 2/2 for 4. It's not well costed at all, but scrying 2 is really great. I might play this as a 2/2 for 4 where I scry 2. But the fact that I can put a creature on top of my library and then draw it is really, really, really good. Even if you whiff on Lana and Path, you pick up the 2 cards and neither of them are creatures. You may be able to get the land that you want by putting it on top. You may be able to, you know, get a spell that would be really good and putting it on top. And yeah, you have to reveal it, and yeah, you're not going to get it until next turn, but you know it's coming. Or if you know, don't like those cards, you get to just filter 2 cards to the bottom of your deck and blind flip the top card. And maybe it's a creature and you draw it, and maybe it's not, but you got those 2 cards, you really didn't want it out of the way. I love Lana and Path. It's done a lot of good work for me. In a weak pack, I might first pick it. I'd probably feel pretty bad about that, but it's really good. I really like it. Next up, we've got Enlightened Ascetic. This is a 1 and a white cat monk. It's a 1/1, and when it enters the battlefield, you destroy an enchantment. This is a sideboard card only, I think. I would never play a 1/1 for 2 that may just not do anything against my opponent, ever, and against other opponents may do something sometimes. That being said, with suppression bonds being common, if I'm white, I want one of these in my sideboard. Hopefully I took all the suppression bonds, but I know I may very well go up against somebody who took, 1 or 2 or 3 of them, because there's a lot of them out there. And so having this in the sideboard is a totally fine idea. So if this comes around to me and I'm in white and there's not much else going on, yeah, I'm totally taking this. But it's not a first pick, and it's not a second or 5th or 7th or 9th pick, really. This is a late, late, late pick. Next up, we've got Fire Fiend Elemental. 3 and a red elemental, 3/2 with haste and renown 1. Totally fine. Totally fine. I'm going to put this in probably every red deck I play, at least one of them. Drawing this feels really good because your opponent, may just not be able to block a 3/2 with haste, and suddenly it's a 4/3 with, well, haste doesn't matter at that point, but it's a 4/3 for 4. This is a fine card. It's not a high pick, but it's a card that's, 19th card. It's a creature that's going to go in your red deck. On to the uncommons, we've got Sylvan Messenger. 3 and a green for a creature elf. It's a 2/2. It has trample for some reason. And when Sylvan Messenger enters the battlefield, reveal the top 4 cards of your library. Put all elf cards revealed this way into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. This is one of the reasons to go into elves. This is one of the cards you can take and start going into elves. I feel like it might be the weakest one. The weakest reason to go into elves. But it certainly helps out. And, you can very easily draw, 1, 2, 3, if you're lucky, even 4 cards, depending on the quality of your elf deck. I would potentially take this first pick if I opened it and I didn't like the other uncommons or the rares, or there were no, mythic commons or anything kicking around. As I said, I think it's the weakest of the reasons to go into elves, but I think it's totally fine. Next up, we've got Fiery Conclusion, 1 and a red. For an instant, and as an additional cost to cast it, you must sack a creature. Fiery Conclusion deals 5 damage to target creature. It kills everything that you want to kill except for Outland Colossus or Majoring Responder, or probably a couple of other things. You have to sack a creature, and that's a pretty big cost, but you might be willing to do that. And of course, if you're in the black-red sack deck, the deck that's playing, Active Treasons and Enthralling Victors and whatnot, then this might even be double removal. You sack one of their creatures and kill one of their other ones. It's not first pickable. It's not premium removal in any way, shape, or form. But if you're already kind of going down that route, it's a fine pickup. Next up, we've got Thopter Engineer, 2 and a red for a 1/3. When it enters the battlefield, you get a Thopter, a 1/1 flying Thopter, and artifact creatures you control have haste. This is a good card to take if you want to start going down the Thopter route. And if you're already in the Thopter route, you certainly take this. It's probably a little bit below Whirler Rogue in my evaluation at the moment, and certainly below the rare reasons to go into Thopters, Hangerback Walker, Chandra's Parents, and Thopter Spy Network. But it's a fine pickup, and I might take it first if I decided I wanted to go Thopters tonight. Our rare is Priest of the Bloodright, 3 black for a 2/2 human cleric. When it enters the battlefield, you get yourself a 5/5 flying demon token. At the beginning of your upkeep, you lose 2 life. So I love this guy. This guy's awesome. 7/7 for 5. 5 of it's flying, and I can just, very aggressively attack with this 2/2. I can attack with this 2/2 into a 3/3, because my opponent's either going to take 2, cool, or they're going to block and kill my priest, and I'm not going to take 2 life each turn. Also cool. As well, if I have an Nantuko Husk, I can just sack this guy. If I have any sack outlets, I can just sack him, and I'm left with a 5/5 flyer for 5, which is amazing. I love this card. I think this card is a total bomb. And, yeah, I can't say enough good things about Priest of the Bloodright. I think it's amazing. Any foil? Nope. So, we're looking at Priest of the Bloodright, Thopter Engineer, and Sylvan Messenger, I think. And I think this is an easy pick. I'm going to take the Priest of the Bloodright every single time. I just talked about it. I think it's amazing. I think it's fine even if you're not in a heavy sack outlet deck, and I think it's really easy. You take this first pick, you've got 3 full packs to grab that Nantuko Husk, and if you actually go black-red sack, then this guy's not going to stick around long, and you're going to be left with a 5/5 flyer. I love this card. I think it's awesome. Definitely let me know what you would have taken in the comments below. Would you have taken the Engineer and gone Thopters? Would you have taken the Messenger and gone Elves? Would you have taken the Priest, or is there something else that I missed? Definitely let me know in the comments below. As always, if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, you can find me on Twitter at TheManaLeak. That's L-E-E-K, like the vegetable, not the card. You can also find me on Facebook at facebook.com/TheManaLeak. You've already found me here on YouTube. You've got the comment section down below. As I said, make use of that. I love seeing people make use of the comment section. If you like my videos, you should click those little thumbs up icons. That lets me know that you like the videos, the world know that you like the videos, and keeps my videos rising up through the ranks. As well, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, you should. There's a button below each video and one in the outro of each video. That'll keep you posted on all of the latest Crack-A-Pack Tuesdays, Wacky Wednesdays, Spiky Saturdays, and any other videos that pop up here or there. But as always, if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, let me know. Otherwise, I'll see you all next time.